Hi guys, Robo46 here, welcome yourselves to round 7 of Robo's Racing League on MotoGP 17 on the Xbox One. Now you may remember there was a couple of incidents in the last round, however Race Direction is on holiday at the moment, so I haven't heard back from them yet, but as soon as I do, I will let you guys know what happened with them. There's some weird stuff happening in pit lane during qualifying. You see a bike going crazy in my pit. This was happening with everyone. It was just, yeah, crazy. But the next camera angle is even worse. A Ducati has inserted itself into my Yamaha, and that is how baby motorcycles are made, and that would have resulted in a Yamakati. But anyway, qualifying, Jack is on pole, followed by Mr. Troyello in second place. I'm in third, with typical Mikey in fourth, Lone Wolf fifth, F1 Fan in sixth, Stealing Set in seventh, Gidsy eighth, Jamie 9th, Dr. Monty 10th, and Chutney BMX, who annoyingly had the pause glitch. He will start in 11th place. Morgan, he was online, but he was not responding to my invites, so he didn't end up racing at all. He was just sat on the Xbox home screen and not doing anything, so yeah. Also, a bit more news is that Bird is the Word has decided to no longer participate in this league because he's decided to be an absolute traitor and go from 2 wheels to 4 wheels, and he's going to be racing in an F1 league. So, big traitor. He's leaving the 2 wheels behind and adding an extra pair in F1. So, Mr. Troyello is taking his ride full time. So Mr. Troyello will be Lone Wolf's teammate for the rest of the season aboard the factory Ducati. So we should still technically have a full lobby in all the races. Just depends if Morgan decides to turn up in the next race or not. Otherwise we'll have to end up replacing him as well. But we're with Jack on his KTM, about to set pole position. Or about to better his own time even, because he'd already got pole position, but I was literally like half a tenth behind at this point. But he was about to move the goalposts all over again. So we're about to start the race. You've got me top left, Jack top right, typical Mikey bottom left, and Mr. Troyello bottom right. So here we go, round 7 at Catalunya. And it has to be said, I got an absolutely shit start. I got swallowed up by pretty much everyone. I was dead last getting into the first corner, but there were a couple of crashes in the first corner, just going on that inside curb, which is not what we want to be doing. Chutney BMX unfortunately disconnected or had to quit because the pause glitch which plagued him in qualifying was still there during the race. So unfortunately he had to quit out of the lobby because the game would not allow him to move at all. It's such an annoying glitch. They really need to sort that out. It's fucking annoying. But yeah, I've made a few more places up. You got Jack still in the lead. Typical Mikey in second, and Mr. Troyello on the Ducati in third. Trying to go up the inside of typical Mikey, and does so. So he goes up to second. Typical Mikey trying to go around the outside. But me there just behind F1 Fan, I believe that is. And Stealing Set on the Repsol Honda just ahead of him. Mikey is still trying to find a way back past Mr. Troyello. Mr. Troyello went a little bit wide. Mr. Troyello keeping that second place at the moment. So Jack just starting to edge away already. So we come into the F1 chicane for the first time. The horrible chicane. This layout of Catalunya is not the best. I have to admit, I do prefer the original layout, and I'm really looking forward to it going back to the original layout. So that was the first lap. Now, we're going to see the start of Dr. Monty, because something amazing happened. He got a cracking start. You can see he starts making up loads and loads of places, up to third, up to second, and momentarily in the lead as well. But it all goes tits up when he goes on the curb into the first corner and crashes. So he managed to get into the lead momentarily off the line. So he got a fantastic start aboard the Ducati. With Mr. Troyello now, with typical Mikey in the bottom left-hand corner of your screen. Mr. Troilo still in second place, just behind Jack, and typical Mikey in third place, a little bit further behind. So Mr. Troilo on the Ducati trying to catch up to Jack. Would Jack be able to keep him at bay? Because we saw these two fighting at the last round in Mugello, and typical Mikey as well. He was there or thereabouts. And it was good to see that Jack wasn't lagging in this race. He had really horrible lag here at Mugello, but he definitely sorted it out for this race, and doesn't look like he's lagging at all, which is very good, because if you try and go past a lagging rider, it's kind of hard to tell where they actually are on track. But you see Jack isn't lagging all over the place, and he's pulling away anyway, so yeah. But you got typical Mikey, he's trying to just close in on Mr. Troilo as Mr. Troilo goes very wide, allows typical Mikey to close back in a little bit. We come round to the F1 chicane for the second time. And the final corner. And that is already the end of lap number 2. Also on lap number 2, a bit further back, I hit the curb, went very wide, and span up the written. Got a bullshit penalty for that, so I got 0.6 of a second for going off track. I mean, I could understand if I got an advantage for doing that, but I lost time as well. But yeah, it's a bit of a bullshit penalty, but never mind. I just had to bear that in mind for the rest of the race, so we're only on lap 3 at the moment. Still with Mr. Troilo with typical Mikey in the bottom left hand corner. And it's looking like typical Mikey was just starting to close in on Mr. Troilo a little bit. Could he get past him as Mr. Troilo goes very wide? He did back it in a bit too much into the hairpin. Uphill, outbrakes himself again. And typical Mikey trying to find a way past, and does so, up to second place for him. But he goes wide, and Mr. Troilo gets back underneath him and back up to second place. All the while Jack pulling away. Now we're with Stealing Set, still on that lap number 3 into the hairpin. See Mr. Troilo and typical Mikey just ahead of him. Through comes Lone Wolf up the inside of him on the other factory Ducati. So factory Ducati's second and fourth at the moment. Stealing Set in 5th place. You got me bottom left. I'm just behind F1 Fan and, well, Stealing Set and Lone Wolf as well. But Lone Wolf just starting to edge away as F1 Fan comes past Stealing Set. Stealing Set almost crashed there as he went over the curb, but luckily managed to stay on. You see me just behind Stealing Set trying to make up a few positions. Into first corner, Stealing Set good on the brakes into there. Trying to catch back up to F1 Fan, all the while trying to keep me at bay. I was on the curb there on the inside, so that lost me a little bit of drive. I did keep making a load of mistakes in this race. Stealing Set still right behind F1 Fan, taking a slightly different line around the hairpin, closing in a little bit more. Like I said, Lone Wolf is pulling away from F1 Fan and trying to close in on his teammate in second place, and typical Mikey in third. Through the right hander onto the little straight. And use F1 Fan slipstream. And then into the hairpin. Tries to go up the inside, but a bit of an incident there. And Stealing Set ends up crashing. And I think F1 Fan ended up crashing as well. I'm not entirely sure what happened to him. It didn't look like he crashed when Stealing Set tried to go up the inside of him. He may have crashed off camera, but I'd made up a couple of positions because of that. So I was up to 5th, which after my shocking start wasn't too bad, I suppose. But with Typical Mikey now on lap number 5, Mr. Troilo bottom left. Typical Mikey is in 3rd position still. Mr. Troilo had pulled away a little bit. Typical Mikey was still going to try and fight with him, and he's got Lone Wolf just behind him, closing in. So he is the Yamaha filling in the Ducati sandwich. See Lone Wolf back this week. So Typical Mikey goes a bit wide, cuts it back for a very late apex. Closes in on Mr. Troilo. So Typical Mikey closing in on Mr. Troilo, but Lone Wolf closing in on both of them. So go up the hill. Through the right hander. Typical Mikey keeps looking behind him. Like Mr. Troilo just starting to edge away again a little bit. That gap kind of yo-yo in between the two of them, but he goes very wide there. And Lone Wolf is pretty much all over the back of Typical Mikey at the moment. Into the chicane. And he picks up a penalty there. You did see him cut across the chicane, and he's picked up a 1.1 second penalty, as he did move into 2nd place as well. But Mr. Troilo gets back past him with a better drive out the final corner. Typical Mikey slipstreaming past on the brakes. Mr. Troilo trying to get ahead of him, but Typical Mikey had it covered. All the while, you got Lone Wolf just behind him as Mr. Troilo tries to go around the outside. Typical Mikey staying his ground and staying in 2nd place at the moment. Mr. Troilo again trying to go around the outside, but Typical Mikey got the inside covered. And Lone Wolf is there now. He's trying to get past both of them. Typical Mikey very wide there. Doesn't lose a place. You've got Mr. Troilo still right behind him. Typical Mikey going in a bit too hot there. Again, Mr. Troilo comes past. Typical Mikey try to put up the inside. Trying to get a slightly better exit, but not quite happening. Lone Wolf got a good exit on the Ducati. And on the brakes, into the hairpin, he moves up to 3rd place, just behind his teammates. So Factory Ducati 2nd and 3rd. Jack had disappeared up the road. Mikey trying to get back past Lone Wolf, but not happening. Into the chicane. And on lap number 8 now, still trying to get past Lone Wolf again. Trying to go around the outside, but not quite happening. Tries to put it up the inside, but goes a bit wide. Lone Wolf cuts it back underneath and reclaims that 3rd place. Typical Mikey looked like he was going to go up the inside again. He tries to through the corner, doesn't quite get the drive out the corner that he needs. Mr. Troilo had opened up a bit of a gap as Typical Mikey goes underneath Lone Wolf, but Lone Wolf gets him back up the hill. So quite a vicious battle going on at the moment. So Mr. Troilo had quite a big gap over Lone Wolf at the moment. Both of them went a little bit wide there. Lone Wolf, can he close in on Mr. Troilo? Could Typical Mikey catch back up to him as well? Of course, Typical Mikey got that 1.1 second penalty, so he's got to bear that in mind depending where he ends up finishing. So, lap number 9 now, we're going to go with me, Typical Mikey, in the bottom left-hand corner of your screen. I was slowly closing in on Typical Mikey, Obviously, during the race, I didn't know that he had a penalty. All I knew that is that I had a penalty, so I knew that if I wanted to get 4th place, I would have to catch him and then try and pull away from him by about 0.6 of a second. Obviously, I wouldn't have had to do that because he had that 1.1 second penalty. But yeah, just starting to close in a little bit on him and Lone Wolf, but not a huge amount. I think the gap was like 1.2 seconds at the moment. As we go uphill, like I said, I made shitloads of mistakes. There's one there as I went in a bit too hot. Just couldn't get my shit together throughout the whole race. Qualifying I was right in, but when it came to the actual race, I don't know, it just fell apart. And into the hairpin, typical Mikey has a crash as he clips the inside curb, and past him I go into 4th place. Now of course, I was thinking at this point I still got that 0.6 of a second penalty, so I need to make sure that that gap behind is as big as possible and doesn't get under 0.6 of a second. I knew that typical Mikey was going to try and push to close back in on me. Of course, he was thinking, well, he was knowing that he had that 1.1 second penalty, so he'd have to catch me and pull away by quite a margin. We're on the final lap, of course, as well. Could I stay ahead of typical Mikey? He was slowly starting to catch back up to me. Yamaha versus the satellite Yamaha. You can see there the gap visibly come down on his screen. Into the hairpin. Trying to get a good run out. You can still see Lone Wolf just ahead. Up the hill we go. Through the left-hander, typical Mikey going on the curb again and getting flicked off his factory Yamaha. So that was his chase for 4th place over with. And 3.1 seconds to Lone Wolf at the moment. There was no more that I could do during this race, and because typical Mikey had that second crash, my penalty, luckily for me, wouldn't come into it. If it had been a close finish, then yeah, could have been a whole different story. Jack is already finished. Mr. Troyolo's finished. Lone Wolf has just finished, and we're coming around to finish as well. So there we go. Jack took the win on his KTM, followed by Mr. Troyolo in 2nd place, Lone Wolf in 3rd, so Factory Catty in 2nd and 3rd. I came home in 4th place, typical Mikey in 5th, F1 Fan on the Suzuki in 6th place. And Stealing Set came home in 7th place. The first of the, well, the only factory Honda out there. Obviously, Chutney BMX will still get points because he did try to race. Dr. Monty, he finished in 8th place ahead of Jamie in 9th and Gidsy 10th. And like I said, Chutney BMX, he claims 11th place. Unfortunately, having to quit the game due to the pause glitch. So that was the end of that race. Let's go see what that's done to the championship. Jack adds another 25 points to his total in 1st place with 170 points. I'm still in 2nd with 109 points, but closing in on me now is Lone Wolf in 3rd with 92 points. He moves ahead of typical Mikey in 4th by 1 point here with 91 points. Stealing Set is in 5th place with 59 points, as is F1 Fan in 6th place with 59 points. Then you got Chutney BMX in 7th with 57 points. Bird is the Word, who drops all the way down to 8th now with 57 points. He will not get any more points because obviously he's not going to be racing anymore. Dr. Monty, he's in 9th place with 46 points. That's a great number. Jamie is in 10th, 1 point behind with 45 points. Gidsy is in 11th with 42. Mr. Troyolo, who I may have forgotten to put on the results or the championship standings last week, he's in 12th with 40 points. just ahead of Morgan in 13th with 37 and AMS Blaze in 14th with 6 points. So that is the championship standings. Let's look at the team championship. KTM still in the lead with 221 points, but closing in on them is the factory Ducati squad, obviously with Mr. Troilo getting second and Lone Wolf getting third. They are now on 197 points. Tech 3 Yamaha, we're still in third place with 161 points, but slowly closing in on us is the Movistar Yamaha team in 4th place with 137 points. Repsol Honda in 5th with 116 and Suzuki in 6th place with 103. So the team championship still all to play for at the moment, but the next race, guys, will be at Assen, Gidsy's home race, so we expect nothing less than a win from him at Assen, and that is going to be on Monday the 11th of September. But anyway, guys, that is it from me. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to leave this video a like if you enjoyed it. Subscribe to my channel for more content. I shall see you guys in the next video. See you!